Hello, my name is Jason, and today I will be giving you a presentation of the Franchisee Field Audits app by FranchiseBlast. To give you some context, we will be following 4 different steps today. Step number 1 is the creation of the questionnaires. Step number 2 is actually scheduling the visits. Step number 3 is the fun part, actually performing the visits. And step number 4 is actually improving your system. This is really the important part of the process. So let's jump into FranchiseBlast. FranchiseBlast is a full franchise management system. It can be used by both people at the franchisor level and optionally by people at the franchisee level. It is beneficial to have franchisees on the system. So today we will start off with just field audits. This is the only thing that we will be talking about, so I'll click on that. And for step number 1, let's look at questionnaires. So questionnaires are really the equivalent of that Excel spreadsheet you have today, or that form that you're filling out on paper. The way it works with us is you send it over, we will massage that file for you, and we will import it in the system so you don't have to do that grunt work. You could actually create everything yourselves, but we just save you some time. Once it's in the system, you can actually change anything without our intervention. Most franchises that we talk to have 2 forms. They have a long form that is done maybe once a year that has 300-400 questions, maybe even once a quarter, and a short form that is done, let's say, once a month, once a quarter, that has 30-40 questions. Kind of anytime anybody visits a location, that form is filled out. So I won't actually bore you with the details of the editor itself. So let's go back and talk about step number 2, scheduling. So I've opened up my scheduling dashboard here. It shows me every store as a row, every column here is a month, and it shows me what has happened in the past year. I can also see the planned visits that we have scheduled in the system. So scheduling is optional, but if you do it, you do have the advantage of making sure that you visit all the locations on the frequency that you want, and you become more proactive instead of being reactive. So for demo purposes today, let's click on December here for store 049. So if I click on this, I actually see 3 audits that were performed this month, but let's go create a new one or schedule a new one. So I click on this button, and it lets me choose who will visit this location at which date. So most franchises we talk to basically have a territory of 30 or so locations per auditor or franchise coach, however you want to call them. And they don't really necessarily specify you need to visit this store at this exact date at 10 a.m. It's really more flexible than that. So by the end of the month is really the typical scenario. The auditor will manage their own schedules. So we'll say by this date, we want you to fill out the detailed cleanliness audit here, and I can type in some private notes for the auditor. This is never shown to the franchisees. Click on save here, and we're actually done. That's it for step number 2, scheduling. Now, we could start it from here, but what I'll show you is there's a button at the top of all pages in FranchiseBlast. It tells you the number of audits you need to perform in the next 30 days. So if I click on this, we will switch over to what we call the mobile view. Everything you've seen up to date is the Auditor Manager level. That's what we call it. It's kind of the VP of Operations or somebody higher leveled up than the actual auditor in the field. Now we are actually in that context. We've just arrived at a location. We take out our iPad, iPhone, Android device, laptop, and we are ready to perform a visit. So let me click on store 49 here to begin. And I see the planned audits. I see some statistics about 52 visits in this location, average of almost 67%, just a bit lower than the franchise average. Here's a breakdown per year. Here's the audit history. I can go and read the past reports. I can click on the address if I've never visited this location to open it up in Google Maps and use my GPS, or click on the phone number to dial up the store. Finally, the opening hours are shown so you don't show up when they're closed. Let's click on the audit we just scheduled to begin. Before we do so, I want to show you the Show Past Results feature. Click on this, and it will highlight in line the last audit result. It's kind of subtle here. It shows you that the sign was actually not clean the last time we visited. So as an auditor, I want to double check this to make sure it's not a recurring issue. So I'll remove that for now. And let's just get started. Is the bathroom clean? Yes. Is the counter clean? Yes. Is the sign clean? No. There's an issue with the sign. So let's click on the little comment icon here. We recommend you type in a description of the issue. The first 2 letters are burnt out. So if you type this in and you say add comment, now it clarifies you didn't just accidentally hit the wrong button. You're defining what the issue is. And you can go and say manage pictures. and snap a picture of that issue on the fly. I'm on a computer here, so I'm picking a file, but if you're on a mobile device or an iPhone, you can actually just use the camera application. It uses a native camera application. So in this case here, the Dynasty Buffet has an issue with their sign, and not going to be good for business. So anyways, we've clarified what the issue is, so the next step is actually doing something about it. So if I look at the side here, I can create a task and say somebody needs to be accountable for getting this solved. So I can say that within 2 weeks, somebody at the franchisee level will fix this, or legal will send a letter, or marketing will send a new sign, or operations, we'll just pick operations for fun here. And we could say it's a violation. Violations would make the audit fail immediately, goes on the franchisee's official record. Typically legal letters are sent out, and if they don't solve it, the franchise agreement could get revoked. So I'll just create that task here and continue on with the next question here, just a couple pictures, so I'll select those, and the last comment here, the comments here is optional, so I won't fill it out. Hit on submit. Are you sure? Yes, I am, because now it becomes read-only. As an auditor, my job here is actually done. We did track the geographic location of the auditor while they were filling it out to make sure that they're not on a beach in Mexico enjoying a mojito. And at this point, we also emailed the Auditor Manager saying, we want you to review this before we show it to the franchisees. Because you never know what kind of content could be in here that you would not want to share for legal reasons with the franchisees. So I'm done with step 3, so we'll jump back into FranchiseBlast and go in the context of the Auditor Manager. I've just received an email saying there's a new audit to approve, so let me show the completed ones. Here's the one we just did. Click on it, drills down into it, and you can actually read the report itself and approve that. So I can say, I'm good with this, I want to share it with my franchisees. Click on approved. This emails the franchisee, and by default we do not attach a PDF to that email because we want them to log into FranchiseBlast because we track views. So you have some proof that they actually read these reports when you gave it to them. And you've got a record of all the ways you're trying to help them improve their business. Finally, we have here the follow-up tasks that we suggested. Typically, these are all assigned to the franchisees, so we'd just say bulk create all of these. In this case, let's change the person, let's say from Dominic to Jason, and say, fixing the sign, this is Jason's area of responsibility or territory or whatever, so we'll do that, and just click the little plus button here. This emails Jason. It says you have a new task in the system. Every day until it gets done, Jason gets a daily email digest with all the tasks that need to be performed. And finally, if it becomes overdue, other people get informed. So that's it for a single audit. And I'll just go back to the list now and show you a bit more. Let's talk about analytics. So as a franchisee, I actually only see franchisee performance and global performance. Franchisee performance just lists all of my individual locations. If I drill down, I'll see statistics just like I saw in the mobile view, and I will also get interesting analytics and all of the detailed reports. However, for this demo, let's jump into global performance directly. Let's talk about one example of a lengthy questionnaire. So I'll just scroll down here and we'll see that this questionnaire here has like 300-400 questions. We've got greeting and smiling guests and suggesting promo items. This one here, 100% compliance. This one, only 60%. That's not too good. But we can actually drill down here and see which stores are actually problematic. We could see the pictures. But for now, let's just take a quick peek at the length of this. This is very long. I am scrolling and scrolling and scrolling here, and you'll see very, very long. Very valuable information, but it is overwhelming. So that's why we came up here with what we call the heat map. So at the top, in green here, we have the average across all sections, all questions within the audit. Second line is your top level question. So unparalleled hospitality, you can see it beneath here, 85%. 83% for quality. And if you drill down to the individual question level at the bottom, you'll see, okay, sanitizer buckets in use. That's my worst question. I can actually accentuate the color differences to make sure that, okay, I see this is really my worst area in the system. My worst question system-wide, and we've got a lot of issues here with fire extinguishers, for example. So even this is overwhelming. So we added the filter by range functionality here, where I can take this and say, only show me my questions that have, let's say, under 65%. On here, I'm left with 8 items, a manageable number of items for which I can go and create a training program to address these issues with sanitizer buckets and measuring cups and whatnot. Push this out to all of my franchisees. In a quarter from now, these issues should now have been addressed. So you're really able to take a peek at this continuously, look at your weaknesses, and continuously improve your franchise. So there's a lot more to the field audit application, but I hope this was an enlightening short overview. Thank you for your time.